On this session of the Peoples Bebop, we will be having a nice chat with Jenean Merkel Perelstein, a sociocultural anthropologist. Together we'll be speaking about the nature of success, as well as Jenean's other work. The thing that initially drew me to Jenean was her emphasis on responsibility for the self. And let's go. I know that the nature of your business is motivational, right? In nature?
Yeah, I help people who are looking to run their professional life or their business from a sense of compassion instead of, solely on the bottom line. Yeah. People who want to make a difference in the world. Yeah. And then I help them get out of their own way and stand in their strength so that they can become whatever form of powerful and recognized leader they want to be. Mm-hmm. So I help people and organizations from two different directions. I help them with the inner game and helping identify places where they might be self-sabotaging or otherwise getting in their own way and getting them to a place where they really can take ownership of the space that they want to occupy. And then I also do business strategy and marketing, sales, that sort of thing. Yeah. So it used to be that I would take on clients just for marketing or strategy, that sort of thing, and then I would watch them with really great plans and they would fail to execute for some reason, and then when I would dig deeper and really got to the root of that, we could do some inner work and get them to a place where they would execute, and then their results were so much better. So that's how my business sort of morphed over time into that space, and it's been wildly rewarding because of it.
Yeah, totally. It seems like it would be. I really like the focus on the self and like taking like personal responsibility and like sort of cleaning out the cobwebs so that you can actually like accomplish things.
Right. Yeah.
I was listening to a psychologist talk about. He was talking about a bunch of different theories in psychology, but he was talking about how he's like, yeah, everybody wants to change the world, and he's talking to college kids. So he's like, how can you change the world if you can't even clean your room? Like,
right.
It's like, so you basically gotta learn how to handle your own self.
That's right.
Before you can do anything anywhere else.
That's right. Yeah. Awareness is such a big part of what it is that I do and talk with people about. And there's two kinds. It's the awareness of course, your internal game and everything that's going on within you, and then also the awareness of your external world and what forces have a play around you, and then how the interplay between those. How do you choose to react to all of those things? Because really, when it comes to external forces, things that people say happen to them, you really have only two decisions. You can change or alter your reaction to that, or you can change or alter your proximity to that. So you could say, this horrible thing is happening to me, I don't like it, I'm out of here. Or you can say, this horrible thing is happening to me, let me shift my perspective and maybe not let it seem so horrible. Or my attitude, or it's sometimes deeper than that, but gosh, I'll tell you, you see people finding joy and happiness in the presence of horrific things, disease, illness, death, tragedy, and it really brings to light what's possible when we work on ourselves.
Totally. I really like the past year of my life. I've really been focusing on, I don't know what else you call it, but like self-awareness, self-help.
Yeah, exactly.
Just trying to get like things taken care of at home so that I can do the things that I plan in the future.
Like you said, getting the cobwebs out so that you can kind of have a clear space from which to launch or grow or
what have you.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is that you choose to do. And the beautiful thing about this too is that it spills over into every area of your life. I have found that when people try to compartmentalize, home life and work life, it doesn't go so well for them. Some people can be very skilled at it, only to have it bite them down the road when stuff starts bubbling up. But when you embrace the idea that we shouldn't compartmentalize, that we should allow for ourselves to be these holistic beings that have emotions that spill from one area to the other, and energy that spills from one area to the other. You might have a a relationship that's seeing some kind of swirliness go on, and all of a sudden you see that same swirliness manifest in your business. And I think that people who are ignoring that are stepping over areas where they could find potential if they would harness it and deal with it and really look at it. So
face the problem.
Yeah, exactly, right. I think that in dominant culture tells us that we're supposed to just leave home problems at home, and work problems at work. But as human beings, we don't really operate that way. So I think we are really stepping over potential when we try to compartmentalize. I don't think we should.
Yeah, totally. That's an interesting challenge to the sort of cultural norm of compartmentalizing. And,
exactly.
And it's funny because you would talk to people, and like you'd be having a great conversation about music, about life or love or whatever, and then you'd be like, "So what do you do for a living?" And then you can kind of see like them kind of like warp, and then like they're just like, "Oh, well, I do this." I'm just like, and they get really crazy, and it's
right.
It'd be interesting to see a person handle that after embracing the concepts that you're talking about.
Right. Right.
And I've noticed recently, I've had like a change in my day job.
Oh,
And so I went from like a corporate environment that was really like not very fun, very like structured and stuff, to like a really playful and like nuanced environment that's really fun.
Fabulous.
And like I've just noticed that times of those big changes are really awesome for making little changes, like in your life or in your habits and stuff. And I've noticed that I've incorporated what you're talking about, where it's like I try to just be me, and not me at work or me at home or me doing this.
Right.
Yeah, and I just try to be me wherever I am.
Exactly.
And it's a complete, it's like night and day. It feels like a giant weight's been kind of lifted off of my shoulders.
You touch on something I think that is really valuable for business owners, particularly who are trying to form their own identity in the marketplace. And that's the idea of authenticity. And there are many people who fear being their authentic selves when they're out running their business, because I think that they're afraid of turning away a potential client who might be part of somebody else's tribe and not their tribe. And unfortunately, that's another thing. It's like messaging that we get taught, that if you're going to be in business, you have to act a certain way. You have to be a certain person. You have to fulfill a certain role. Absolutely. But ironically, when we are doing the things that we need to do, the self-awareness that we need to do so that we can outwardly present in the most authentic way for ourselves, the people who are meant to be in business with us are attracted to that. Right?
Yeah.
You were talking about your work environment, and the bureaucratic system is not authentically you, so you're not attracted to it, you're not drawn to it. But a fun and playful environment, you are. And so why wouldn't we, if I want to work with fun and playful people, why wouldn't I create a culture that invites that? And and it seems so obvious, but when you see people setting up their business structures, they forget to do it. I had a client, one of my international clients, she was just lovely. This woman took patients. She was a physician, and she was very unhappy in her business, and she wasn't attracting the kinds of patients that she really wanted to work with. And after a while, we started doing some of this inner work, and we recognized that she had grown up in this family with men who were big, powerful business owners, and they would always talk to her about, get out there and you're going to crush the competition and you're going to own it, you're going to fight, and all of these, like sports metaphors and
like
the way...
sort of like dominant speech.
Exactly, dominant speech, all of this stuff that she felt like, okay, if I'm going to be a successful business owner like my dad, like my brother, I need to be like this. So she created all of her marketing materials and all of her client attraction materials based on that kind of language. So she attracted their ideal client. And she couldn't figure out, why do I have all these jackasses in my practice, totally. That I don't even want to work with. And so we recognized that she actually had a fear of owning an authentic business. She had a hidden belief that suggested that if she was, if she behaved authentically, she wouldn't be successful. She would be feminine. She would be, a woman business owner. She whatever it was that was particular to her. But the second she shifted that way, her clients found her. The right people who were meant to find her, her tribe found her, and she could move forward and loved her work again. And this is one of those things that I see over and over again, where people they have a fear of being themselves.
Yeah, they have like paradigms lined up inside of their head where they're just structured, not coming from a place of authenticity, but almost like a place of like scarcity or like fear.
Exactly. Yeah. That's you hit the nail on the head. It's a scarcity mentality. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you open it up for an abundant mentality, then you can come from this place of finding what it is that you truly desire, instead of feeling like you need to take any client, any sale, any purchase, whatever it is. Yeah, and it's a yucky way to live anyway. Yeah,
definitely. It seems like it would just get in the way.
Yeah.
But it's like I could definitely sympathize with somebody like that, because it's like the way we relate to the things, like as we're learning, especially in her case as growing up.
Right.
It's like we kind of build on different ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people think when they hear the word business or my own business, it's like separate from me or like my fun or my happiness.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh, it's just my business. We were going to a business meeting. We're putting on a business suit. And it's just like, I can see why that fissure would form.
Yeah. Right, and we get these messages from our family, our culture, our society, media, that will embed hidden beliefs into our subconscious brains, and we will operate in accordance with those beliefs. And sometimes they're so hidden from us, we just do not know that we're behaving on a level of sabotage, really.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to see because it's so ordinary to us. Right, yes. It's like the fact that you can see your nose on the end of your face all the time, but you filter it out because it's so normal. And so, a lot of times the way that we operate in our businesses are so usual to us that we can't see it. I'm an anthropologist, and so that's the emic perspective, the insider's perspective, and so. That's why I find it very helpful, and my clients find it helpful to engage also the edic perspective, the outsider's perspective, so that there's just a different viewpoint on it. And both in tandem are necessary, I think, in order to get a holistic picture.
Yeah, but in order to see like the truth. The truth of a situation, rather than like the perceived notion, and then adhering to like a perceived notion.
Right.
So if you kind of clean away all the weird stuff to see like not the truth as it exists for everybody, but the way like you relate to the truth.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. That's what a belief is, right? Your conviction in the truth of something. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's true. It's just that you're convicted that it's true.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, just look at politics, and you know that one belief versus another belief doesn't necessarily reflect the truth, but with somebody's emotional attachment to that, to their truth, is where belief comes from.
Yeah, and it becomes like I think the word's paramount to the truth.
Yes.
It becomes like a truth to them,
right?
To where they'll fight and die for what they believe is the truth.
They will.
It's just an emotional bond to a perceived notion.
Right, exactly. And we know now about how the brain works that if we have a very strong belief that's emotionally embedded into our subconscious brain, we can get evidence, statistical evidence that belief is not true. And we will filter that evidence out. It's called the confirmation bias. That we will be so attached to our beliefs that we could see evidence that it's not true, and still hold on to our belief. And it's really bizarre.
Grip even tighter to that belief.
Say again.
Grip even tighter to that belief. In some cases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it's definitely one of the ways that our brains operate against us. It can operate for us too. I mean, if that belief serves us, if I believe I can do anything, for my business, and I can do no wrong, and I'm convicted in the truth of that, then I'm likely to go out and behave in ways that other people won't.
And
They'll hold themselves back and I won't.
And they'll lead you to that sort of success.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But, this is why I do the work that I do with people in trying to uncover those hidden beliefs and make sure that we know where it is that they might be getting in their own way. And then doing the work to rewire their brains for new beliefs that really do serve them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big deal.
No, totally a big deal. I know you said that you started this business by like helping other businesses with like productivity and stuff. But what got you personally on the road of like inner work, as you said?
Well, so I said I'm a sociocultural anthropologist, and there's a story that really got me going. This happened, it's almost been 20 years now. I was teaching anthropology at NAU, and my husband and I, were driving up late one night to Flagstaff, where we live, from Phoenix. And we were having a conversation about different people in our lives. And there were kind of two different camps of people that we were discussing. And one group of people seemed to just always mess up or get in their way. Or, they would be 3 feet from gold and they would either quit, or some obstacle would get thrown at them and they would run away, or they just could not make it, in all areas, your relationships, education, jobs, whatever it was. And then there's this other camp of people who have like the Midas touch. Everything they do turns to gold. They come up against an obstacle and they just cruise on over it, no big deal. And so we were talking about, well, what are these people doing?
What's the key thing that separates
exactly. Are the people who are not being successful, are they doing something to keep themselves from being successful? And then are the people who are always successful, are they doing specific things to always be successful? And so, being blessed with this discipline that teaches me cross-cultural comparison and pattern recognition, I kind of adopted it as my hobby. And I thought, well, I'm going to learn the language of success, across cultures, across disciplines. And, I did it as a hobby for a long time, and my career morphed. I went from education. I spent time in the nonprofit world and in business. And there came a point when, and I'd still been kind of collecting data from this along the line, but there came a point I was CEO for a nonprofit, and I was unhappy, which was weird for me because, I looked around at my life and everything looked good on paper.
Yeah, it was very successful appearing.
Yeah, exactly, right? People would say, you made it, you've done it. And I thought, well, that sucks because I feel horrible, I don't feel right.
I'm not fulfilled.
I'm not fulfilled, myself, exactly. And then I got really sick. And I knew that I needed to change my lifestyle and step away from some of the stress. And I thought, gosh, I've been gathering this data about success for many years. Probably now would be a good time to really look at it. Yeah. So I kind of use it, So I did. So I left my big girl job, and that's when I started taking on consulting clients, business consulting clients. And so, but in the meantime, I'm doing some of these strategies that I'd learned along the way to help myself, to heal, to find my path, to get my passion back, my sense of purpose, all of this. And then I started kind of trying on some of those exercises with my business clients. Okay. And as I was improving, I started seeing their results grow too. And that's when I thought, I've got something here.
Sort of like a mad scientist using real folks.
Real people, exactly. Well, my life was getting so much better. I thought, how can I share this with other people? So,
and a lot of these ideas, they resonate really heavily. They seem to make a lot of sense.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, a lot of it is not necessarily earth-shattering in the innovation of the ideas, but a lot of it stems from the fact that we're not taught, we were talking earlier, we're not taught to do this level of self-awareness and self-reflection. And then we're certainly not held accountable for it.
Yeah.
And so when you can sit down with somebody and they can see what you can't see, and you can have that dialogue of what's really happening, that's when it gets to be really powerful.
Totally.
So
plus, like having like a quote unquote coach or like a mentor. That, it's like not only do we discuss these things, but then we come back in a couple of weeks and then we discuss the level of improvement or the level
exactly right. Or if you say something that contradicts something you've said before, I'm going to catch you.
Yeah, totally.
Say,
totally.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
That's not consistent. Why?
Yeah, totally. Like
let's dig deeper.
Yeah, totally. Let's confront the issue head on, and then hurl over it, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. So I systematized it along the lines, and I came up. You can see it's up there. I came up with my system for it is called the Welcoming Abundance Blueprint.
Okay.
And so I really do take people through a process, a 6-week process. And now, like I said, people will come to me for a marketing plan or something, and I'll say, okay, but let's talk about your relationship with money and your family and this kind of thing. So it's not quite counseling; it's more like cheerleading. But it is. But you talk about what hidden beliefs you might have with these in these areas.
Yeah, and then you would also confront what you were talking about, like cross-cultural like patterns and things that have emerged as like truth.
Absolutely right, exactly. What messages have you picked up by your culture that have told you something that really compete with where it is that you want to go? Like a really common one is that a lot of people end up with this belief that money is the root of all evil. That like people who have a lot of money can be really nasty and do really evil things. And so some people will end up with this belief hidden in them that they've picked up from, their parents or their culture or wherever they got it from. It kind of doesn't matter. But at the same time, they'll be trying to make more money in their business, and so it's kind of like they're driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, and their brain doesn't know what to do, and so it gets confused and it shuts down, and it won't let you pursue that belief, or it won't pursue that action, making money, because it's competing with a deep-rooted belief that you have. So that's just one example. Not everybody has that belief, but some people do, and when they do, it can really get in their way of, making the money that they want to make, so that they can in turn do good with it, and use money from their sense of values, which might be totally different from what the image that they have in their brain is. So,
I totally agree with you that's a very common sort of stigma about the nature of success.
Right.
Is that like, oh, he's got money, he's a sellout, he's doing this.
Yeah,
exactly. And you're just like, you're like, how come I can't be helping myself and helping other people while being successful?
Exactly.
Like, isn't that what we're all kind of shooting for?
Right. And really getting to the bottom of what that's all about for you as an individual. That's one of the first things I think people need to do is figure out, well, what does success mean?
Yeah.
At one point in my life, it meant health. I mean, it still does, right? But like that was what I was just solely focused on. I needed to get my body well so that I could take care of my family and be there for other people and do the things that I wanted to do, you know. And so now I think of, I use the word abundance, and a lot of people mistake that for just monetary wealth. But I really mean it in, abundant relationships and abundance with your legacy and abundance with your health and your vitality. Totally. And, I want to come from a place of plenty so that I can share that energy in all of its forms with other people. Yeah. And that's success to me.
I think that when you perceive abundance in your life and you act as though there's like abundance in your life, you actually attract it into like your being. So it's like, for instance,
you are 100% correct.
Like if I went to like an interview for a job and I was like, I really need this job, like things are gonna go bad if I just kind of stress out before the interview.
Right. People smell that. They can smell the desperation. Yeah. But if you're standing in your strength and you come into a job interview and you say, in your brain, I am amazing at this. I can offer so much to this company because I know I've got it. Yeah. And then people also smell that, subconsciously they will pick up on that and say, wow, this level of confidence really comes across. Now, I think that we use the word confidence, I think we don't think enough about what confidence means to us. I think that we use it very shallowly. And
sort of associated with dominance.
Yeah, maybe so, right. And some people even, or arrogance. And so some people, don't want to go near it. They want to kind of shove it away. When in fact, if you really look deeply at what it is, that's the interesting place that I think people find their success from. Yeah. Is that well of energy that they take ownership of. Well, they either do or they don't, but when they do, people know it. You can feel it. There's an attraction to people who are taking ownership of their energy. We're attracted to those people. We want to be around them. And most of the time it's because we want to learn from them. Yeah. How are you doing that? That's really great. I want some of that.
Yeah, totally. You just seem like you got it figured out.
Exactly.
Let's get on the same page.
Share the wealth. Yeah, right. So,
have you ever had a client come to you that couldn't be helped?
Wow, what an interesting question. No. The short answer is no. Cool. But the bigger answer is there are some issues that I've not been able to get to the bottom of with people. But what has happened is that they see those issues differently. That I can help them shift their perspective. I was talking earlier about changing your reaction or changing your proximity. When you're standing in your strength, the storms that blow around you aren't so devastating. So, a lot of times the issues or the problems will still exist, but the joy that you can experience in the presence of those will alter. And that's what I'm really interested in.
It's not so much about banishing fear or anything like that. Well, hold on. It's not so much about becoming less fearful of it, but actualizing that there is a scary thing there and making yourself stronger in the wake of that thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of take it out and look at it and say, I see you, and you might actually put it back in. Yeah. but you know it for what it is, and you can tell what to do about it, and you can create an action plan even about strategies of working with it. There are all different kinds of energies where that goes, and different ways of managing it, depending on what it is. But I'm interested in helping people live a more joyful existence, because really, when we were talking about success. If you get to the bottom of it, isn't that really where you end up? Well, why do you want more money? Because I want to do this. Well, why do you want to do this? Because it'll make me happy. Okay, I mean, if you ask the why onto every question, hopefully it ends up with, because it'll make me happy.
Yeah, it gives me pleasure and gives the pleasure of people around me.
Exactly, right. And then I can get to share that level of joy and self-satisfaction with other people. I mean, I should be so lucky.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I really like that. I imagine you've seen a wide array of individuals and clients that have had their own stuff that's gone awry in their life, or their own issues that they've had. But if you could identify sort of a common roadblock amongst each of a large group of these people, what kind of roadblock?
It's such a great question. Well, I brought up the money one, and that's often a big one, and it doesn't always stem from that specific belief of, I think I had said money is at the root of all evil. That one, because there are a lot of them around money. I would say it's issues with money. It's issues with our relationship with money. So some people grow up learning how to be spenders, and some people grow up learning how to be savers. And a lot of times we'll learn our money patterns from our parents, and we'll never think twice about how that could affect us and our ability to be successful in our jobs or in our relationships or in our businesses or with our children. And often when you look at it, there are people who have gotten big inheritances, and so they develop a deep emotional attachment to money based on somebody that they lost, or somebody who has struggled and has never had enough their entire life, and so they've come up with a belief that says money's not for them. It's one of those out in the distant, unattainable things. So, we end up with these funny patterns with money that through no fault of our own. Honestly, we're not doing this to ourselves,
Yeah, it's like inherited with our culture.
Exactly, right, because it's such a necessary driver in our culture. We end up with these funny relationships with them, not knowing how much those relationships affect our outcomes in other areas of our life. And so because I often work with people in their businesses to help their businesses grow or scale or be more successful, or whatever area it is that they're looking at, I really want to pay attention to any hidden beliefs about money that could be altering their course unbeknownst to them.
Yeah. If you could prescribe an ideal relationship to establish with money for just like the broadest spectrum of individuals, how would you define that?
I would say approaching it as a form of energy, because really it's actually easier to understand this these days because we use credit instead of just paper money or coins. Those are just the symbols of the energy that passes between two people or more people. And the idea of credit allows you to think of, okay, it's just a value. Well, then think about, what does value mean to you? Do you think that you yourself are valuable? And when you think that you yourself come from a place of value, then from there you can think that what you give and offer to the world is of value. And it's from that place that you can enter into that exchange. And, we think about, like, okay, I'm going to buy this pen, and this pen is $2. And we think it's just kind of an even transaction. But when you get to the heart of it, it's kind of the energy that went into the essence of this, and the energy that went into what I did to earn that $2. And when you see it in its purest form, I think that it's more joyful. It takes away some of the baggage that we attach to it. But certainly I would say, I think we all need to do more of this. I would say, really think long and hard about your value and standing in that place of strength with it. When we can articulate our value and the value of what we do or what's associated with us, or products that we associate with, when we can articulate that, we can sell anything. And then it's not disingenuous, right? It's not this like, I'm going to try to sell this pen to you because I want your money.
Yeah.
But when I see the value of it and I know it and I can articulate it deeply, then I'm just going to invite you to have the opportunity to have this pen.
To have this pen, so you can do wondrous things with it.
Exactly. Nice. So, all of a sudden our conversation morphed into the sales and business realm, but that's the kind of transition that I'm talking about, is that I want to know about somebody's personal self-worth.
Yeah.
And then how does that reflect everything that they do that's surrounded with money? So
very interesting.
Yeah, it's fairly all-encompassing. Money's just one aspect of it, but tell me about your relationship with your physical body, or your spiritual self, or your family relationships, things like this that really can stop somebody in their tracks, but they don't see it. Like I said, like your nose, you just don't see it. It's so normal. You grew up with it. It's so usual to you.
They don't identify these particular value structures that you inherit with your culture. And so it's like a lot of cultures will revere spirituality as one aspect, and this is another aspect, but really, like you're saying, it all comes down to just like how you value things, like how you value the everything that you're involved in.
Exactly, right. And then, this goes a little high woo-woo, but what's your energetic relationship with those things? Because of the proximity of value between you and that. Do you have a history with these things that changes your energetic, your emotion, your energy in motion?
How would you associate the perception of value in people's lives to like spirituality or like religious sort of like ideals? Like, do you focus on that when you're coaching people?
I do.
Helping people?
It's very beneficial for me to understand somebody's beliefs, spiritual beliefs ahead of time. For one, just I need to know what language do I need to use. If I say the universe is providing energy for something, I want to know, are you retranslating that into, well, God provides for me, or goddess, or no, I don't think that way, and so I'll translate it into the realm of quantum physics. But I do talk about it. It's a big part of what I do, because I believe in the very essence of quantum physics and the idea that we are going to vibrate on frequencies of different things, and the quality of that vibration will change our outcomes. And so, this gets, I get that this gets kind of woo-woo for some people, and some people will resist it. But I can also say that I see these things happening on such a regular basis and can point to evidence of it happening, that even if I have to tell my clients, just let that piece go and follow all of the other steps, and let's just see what happens. And I have this running joke with my other coaches, where around the third or fourth session with somebody, they'll come in and say, "You're not going to believe what happened." And there will have been some level of synchronicity or magic that unfolded for them in their life. And I think, I absolutely believe it. You're changing the way that you are presenting to the world.
And interacting with it.
Exactly, right. And so going back to spirituality, I want to know what kind of interplay is either allowing for that and adding to that, or blocking that. Because that's another area where some people have trauma from childhood religions and doctrine that they're trying to overcome, that has impacted their results in their life, and so I'll help them work through the beliefs that have been embedded that might be getting in their way. And some people have beautiful relationships with their religions, and will use that to help them grow these ideas. And I've worked with people from every religious background that I can think of. Well, maybe not some of the more esoteric ones, but from many different religious backgrounds, and this work all fits really nicely, because it's really just the human condition that we're dealing with.
And like it's a very personal thing, like it's like a light that people are shining from themselves. And it's like that same like the nature of success is sort of like the nature of like why things like religion exist.
Right, exactly.
Like, you want a candle in the darkness.
Exactly. Right. Show me the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly. Yeah, it's powerful work when you can overlay your religious or spiritual beliefs onto this. And I have to say that was almost unintentional. When I built this, I certainly did it through the filter of my own belief system, and then added in an allowance for somebody else to translate it into theirs. One of my first clients told me, after going through this, that she said that her personal relationship with Jesus was strengthened by having done this work. And I was shocked. I'm not a Christian myself. And I heard that and I thought, all right. And I've had other Christian clients. Actually, I had a client who took every single step of my blueprint and found a corresponding Bible verse to go with it.
Yeah, totally.
And I thought, this really speaks to the idea that this really does translate across faiths, because it's really about coming from a sense of beauty and strength and taking ownership of yourself, and like you said, that the candle in the darkness, that's what all religions are about anyway. So of course it would translate that way. It just didn't occur to me off the bat.
In manifesting their success and their abundance,
exactly.
And that's what religions have been. That's like their mission statement.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Truly. Yeah.
How cool. That's definitely cool. Like, that's really cool. I really like the reverting back into the Bible verses for it, because it's like, I've read the Bible at times and I was just like, if you look at this in like a symbolic kind of representation of like, you know, what your situation or whatever,
right?
It's like you can apply it in like 15 different ways, and like the Bible in particular is written in such a way where almost all ways are towards the path of success, and towards the path of abundance.
Right. Yeah, so I know. I was fascinated when she did that. I thought that was so cool, and it really helped her build a relationship with the work in a way that was meaningful to her in this beautiful place. Yeah. So, yeah, I do love that about it.
Yeah, I in talking about what you in listening to you talk about what your work is, I find it very almost shamanistic. You know, like people are coming to you with like these quote unquote illnesses from their life, and like they have a hard time with their business, they have a hard time with their spirituality, and then you sort of take these cultural things, these spiritual things, and relate to the person rather than relate to the issue. Right. And it's very cool. It reminds me a lot of shamanic culture.
Yeah, thank you. I take that as a deep compliment.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's really lovely, because I think it's the same way. You know, I want to show somebody the way. Yeah. You know, I can't do the work for them, but I can hopefully shine some light on their path so that they can do the kind of work that makes them be the better version of themselves that they've wanted all along. And I think that, you know, I believe that to be true of a shamanistic path as well. And, you know, and I do think of myself as a healer sometimes. You know, we jokingly laugh about it being business healing and that sort of thing, but I think it's true. You know, businesses have traumas, people have traumas. You know, when we heal from them, we learn from them, and take the next step. Yeah,
you focus on the root of the problem, and then you fix it. That's very healing. Definitely. Yeah. So in that regard, I imagine that this work is highly rewarding to you as an individual who wants to change the world.
Right. I mean, I just get tears in my eyes just having this conversation. It really, I am fed on a daily basis. And it's just so, I'm going to start crying now, sorry. But I get very emotional about it. It's really, I cannot believe sometimes that I am so blessed to get to help people in the way that I do.
Yeah. Well, that's very awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that there are individuals, you know, in the world. I'm glad there are individuals in the world who are driven by not only, you know, becoming successful, but lifting up the people around them, especially in your case, the people who are in like a place where they know they need help. Yeah. You know? And like they seek you out, and then like you can see the transformation of like the bewildered individual who comes in not knowing which way is up in terms of like their business or their spirituality. Yeah. And you can sort of foster them. Like, you're not giving them like a pill that's just going to be like, everything's going to be better. You're like rerouting themselves, and you're helping them to make themselves better and to grow as individuals. Right. And then that's, to me, I think that's systemic. Yeah. And so it's like, you help one person, that person helps other people, and it's just
that's what I want. Yeah. That's exactly what that's where I feel like I'm living my life mission now, you know, is to help other people play bigger at their life, and then they can go out and spread that and share what they've learned with other people and help lift other people up. And that's why I said early on, I like to work with compassionate business owners and professionals, and, you know, people who come from that state of wanting to make a difference. I've had a couple clients in who are just in it for the bottom line. And this work has actually helped them just in terms of gaining clarity on what they want and, dusting out some cobwebs. But it won't take them as far as it will for those people who want to, in turn, do something great for somebody else.
And just help the world that they occupy.
Exactly, right. And that greatness, hey, look, you could be a custodian and cleaning up after people. And if you can really get in touch with the mission of why what you're doing is valuable, I honor that deeply, and I think that is exactly the kind of thing that where when you find joy in the essence of anything that you're doing, and you then in turn help other people find joy in that, that's when you talked about systemic, right? That's when you end up with an ecosystem of people who are loving and kind and compassionate, caring, they doing beautiful things in this world.
What could be a better environment that anybody hopes to be in
than
one where people are like that?
Exactly.
And I notice it too conversely. It's like I'll go to like the supermarket or something, and the checkout girl will just be a happy little firecracker.
Exactly.
And, it makes me happy and it gives me joy, and then I take that joy whatever I'm doing, whoever I'm interacting with.
Exactly. Right.
So it's like happiness is systemic, and that almost by correlation, success is systemic.
Right. Well, energy is contagious. Have you ever been around a really depressed person, and all of a sudden you feel your energy just like, whoa.
Totally. you feel drained.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it goes to the dominance. The frequency will either rise or fall to whatever's powerful in that room at that moment. And so I want to be dominantly high vibrations, high energy for people, and I always use it as a red flag when I am not doing that. When I can't do that, I need to go back and look inward and do some self-care and think about, all right, well, what's going on? Let's get to the bottom of this. So I'm not immune.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. I think no matter how devoted to our success we are, it's like we kind of carry around like a bag with us, and then every once in a while something gets like a little pebble gets tossed in the bag, and then like eventually that bag gets a little heavy, and you gotta take the time to clean it out, and you gotta put your hands in there, and you gotta dig the boulders out.
It's like exactly right. I love that.
It's dirty work.
It is. It's dirty work.
You gotta do it.
Yeah, and that's the tough part. We're just not taught how.
Yeah.
And so there are some people who live their entire lives being reactionary to life, and they don't know that they're powerful. They never learn.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, they perceive life is happening to them.
Yeah.
Not like they're a force controlling aspects of how it affects them.
Right. They're just surviving, and they're not using any of their creative force to make anything happen.
Yeah. I like what you said earlier when we were talking about, I forgot what brought it on, but you said, I found my mission in life, and that made you really happy when you said that.
Yeah.
And is there any advice to just anybody that you can think of that you would give if they don't know what their mission is? I would ask them to really think deeply on the question of if all of their needs were met, money, health, time, pressures, if they didn't have any pressure on any of those things, true abundance, what would they do with their time? What would they do with their life? What drives them? And then, maybe even make a mission statement around that. And I think it's important for people to know, too, that it's okay for that to change over time. I think people get stuck in this paralysis where they feel like, oh, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be, it's sustaining for life for me to really set it. No, set it in motion. Maybe it's your mission for the next 3 months. Who cares? If it gets you moving and if it gets you doing great things for yourself and others, then go for it. And set out to it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because I've personally found myself in that same bubble where I'm just like, my mission, and like I think about it as like a whole, like your whole life thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, how am I supposed to think of that? I'm just like, I'm like 26. I don't know what to do with like
Right.
my whole life.
Right. It's
But
daunting.
Yeah.
No,
And
chunk it down.
Yeah.
Just say, what's my mission for this season?
Yeah, totally.
I work with people. I create what I call a seasonal excellence plan,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a 3-month plan. It's kind of time management type, but it's also energy management. And we look at those things. You know, what do you really want to? How do you want to make an impact over the next 3 months?
Yeah.
Make a mission for that. Make a vision statement for that.
Yeah.
Why not? You know, you might start seeing some patterns after a while, or you might try something on for size and say, you know what, this doesn't really fit. And I think people don't allow themselves to get it wrong, and so they don't make a decision at all.
Mm-hmm.
But what a great thing to find something that doesn't fit. That's just one more thing that
Yeah,
you know.
totally.
You've got more information. So yeah, it's a great learning opportunity when you get to do something like that. So
Excellent. I think that when you get accustomed to failing at things,
yeah,
and like you kind of realize that it's like, oh, I'm not a failure. I'm just it's just another speed bump, another thing,
exactly,
like, another like little
an experience,
like bang on the side
mm-hmm.
of the road that's like putting me back onto the road where I need to go.
Right. And that's these people in the camp where I was saying early on, what are those people that do have the Midas touch? Mm-hmm. And they have obstacles and they go smoothly right over them. What are they doing? And that's exactly, it's this work where they feel like, okay, I just learned something, primarily what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to, make my reactions or make my actions now based on that information. What's next?
Totally.
You can either have it drag you down
mm-hmm.
or lift you up.
Or make you strong.
Exactly. It's like in job interviews. I sit on panels to help other companies hire employees because it's sometimes useful to have an outsider's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm interested often in their failures more than their successes.
How cool.
Because I think you learn about the character of somebody's ability to withstand adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And, name a job that doesn't have adversity.
Yeah,
I just,
totally,
there just
totally.
aren't any.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm interested in. A sailor only learns to sail in bad weather,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So.
How cool.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of you could treat failure as like, I don't know, it's just occurring to me now, like a piece of metal. Like, say like your failures are pieces of metal that you have. It's like you could either like hold on to them and like keep them as they are, and like eventually you're just carrying around a big box of metal.
Right.
Or you can shape them and learn from them into like an armor.
Like I love this. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like these things
or
may
something
be,
of beauty.
Yeah.
Even.
Wow. Like some artwork.
Yeah.
Or like a metaphorical weapon, like a sword or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. It's beautiful.
Help you fight in your life,
in your
crazy
next battle.
Yeah.
Right. It's either a weight weighing you down,
or a tool.
Or a tool.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. What a great metaphor. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's wonderful, and that's like I think that's what people really need to know about failure.
Yeah.
Is that it really it shouldn't get you down, and it just shouldn't get you down.
Right. Yeah. Right. Fail fast.
Nice.
Don't let it
marinate.
Spin out, marinate, right, for too long. Yeah. But you see people around who have their identity has been built on their failures, and they've just allowed that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see people develop identities based on their essence, their authenticity, their fire within.
Yeah. The thing that they have to offer the world that is uniquely theirs.
Exactly.
I very much like that. I like everything that we're talking about. Right
yeah, isn't it great stuff?
It is. It's hot science. It
is. And it is actually cutting edge science. A lot of the work that I I talked about quantum physics and all that's new there, and I study a lot of cutting edge neurosciences techniques. And I'm very interested in the fact that our brains are plastic and that they're movable and rewirable, and that we can let the synapses, the connections of old limiting beliefs, we can let those atrophy. We can let these little Pac-Man glial cells gobble them up.
Yeah.
And all the while we can build new connections based on new beliefs that actually do serve us in our desire to have better results. So, yeah, it is actually steeped very deeply in the sciences. Even though people, there's a tendency to say, oh, it's New Age-ish, it's high woo-woo. I make sure that people understand scientifically what's happening in their brains, what's happening in their bodies biochemically, and what's happening in the quantum field around them as they're going out and affecting change in life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What you're talking about with rewiring your neurons, it reminded me of what we were talking about earlier about nobody being beyond help.
Right.
Like everybody is capable of initiating this change.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Every age, every demographic, people coming back from horrible things can be helped at least a little bit by this, and it makes a big difference in many people's lives. Yeah.
I really like the way it is. It's all based on you doing the work, like you relying on yourself. It's like I can't give you a pill. I can't prescribe you a workout program.
Exactly.
It's like you have to dig deep, and you have to come face to face with the roadblocks that you created in your head, and take responsibility for them and move forward.
Yeah, the exercises that I give and the things that I ask people to do are relatively simple. They're not always easy. A lot of times you start writing about a certain experience or an answer to a certain question, and stuff comes up, and it's not easy to face that or to really even look at some of this stuff.
Yeah, or to take responsibility for the things that you created in your life that are limiting you. And
Right. Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who's never undertaken the endeavor of helping themselves?
I would say, here's something I would love everybody to do, is to sit down, buy a beautiful journal that you love and connect with, and sit down and list in that journal as many successes as you can think of throughout your entire life. Anytime that you overcame adversity, both large and small, not just the resume style, I graduated high school and I went to, or whatever. Definitely add that. But also add I didn't want to get out of bed today, but I did. Add those kinds of things in there as well. And the reason why I have people do this is because we are in a culture of being taught to need external validation. People want more likes. They like, did anybody see my post? Or, has anybody interacted or engaged with me? Or even just, when you set out to do something new, your brain is going to look for evidence that it's possible for you to do something new. And one of the ways that it finds evidence is in your past experiences. But oftentimes we can't remember our own greatness because culture tells us to downplay it. We're not allowed to be champions of ourselves. We have to rely on other people to say, oh my gosh, that thing you did, that was amazing.
Yeah.
But then we're left with saying, the cultural rule is, oh, no, it was nothing. But our brain hears that and says, oh, it was nothing? Gosh, I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, it's nothing. All right, we won't remember that.
Totally.
We won't, I guess we won't pay attention to that. So you go to think about, well, what great things have I done? Well, I don't know. But if you have this book that's filled with great things that you've done, not only do you have that evidence for your brain, but then you have the reliability of that evidence being there when you need it.
Yeah.
Not just having your friend blowing sunshine, which is just not reliable, one, and that you might not believe them, and two, they might not be there to say it when you really need it.
Yeah.
And so it creates something where it's all yours, and you're not going to lie to yourself. Yeah. It's going to be there for you when you need it. And
you have to do the work of digging deep into your brain and putting that onto paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, oh, remember that time I problem solved that issue that I thought was impossible, but it wasn't. And then you write it down. And then you keep it going, you know, and every time you do something you feel like needs to be celebrated, it goes in that book. And I'm telling you, you go back and you read through these success journals, and you'll fly high as a kite. You know, it's like taking drugs somehow. You're like, oh my gosh, it is the biochemical response of that level of success actually allows you to go out and be more successful.
Yeah, you're setting positive future trends by looking at the positive trends of your past.
Exactly.
How interesting.
Yeah. Can you imagine if every teenager in this country did that and started understanding their own value instead of relying on other people to do it for them? Instead
of looking for good grades or like things where other people validate them, where they're just like, I don't care if I got a C. Like, I know that I learned the material, and I know that
exactly I've got greatness.
That would be wonderful. I would love to see that, especially at such a young age, before you're faced with like some of the biggest challenges of your life.
Right.
Like deciding what your career is going to be, like deciding what, you know, you're in a pretty pivotal time at that age.
Absolutely. You know, and I talk about young people, but equally valuable for people older. You know, I have a lot of clients in their 50s and 60s. And, you know, they're at a stage in their life where they've had some success, and they know that there's untapped potential that they've left out there that they haven't reached yet. And it's so valuable to do this exercise because they can see how far they've come. And sometimes we just get fatigued, and we feel like we're on a hamster wheel.
And I feel like there's plenty of examples in life about how low you can go, and how bad things can get.
Right.
But like nobody really knows the other side of the potential scale. Like nobody knows how great you can be.
Right.
And so like even if you've had a life of success in the past, or like you were successful in something that you did for 5 years, like there's no roof on it. Like
exactly.
You can keep becoming a better and better individual.
Right. And you really touch on something really big that people, I think, don't think often enough about how great it can be, of what they can possibly do.
That's really what's at the top of the pyramid, right? It's like realizing and actualizing your potential.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's a good goal, I think, for everybody.
Isn't it?
Totally. Right? I would like to see a world where, rather than being inhibited by fear, people are lifted up by, I don't know what else to describe it other than
themselves.
Like grace.
Grace. I love this word.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
And it's like you give that gift to yourself.
You do. It can only come from yourself. Other people can give it to you, but it's not as meaningful.
Totally. And what's cool is like you create the threshold for that. And so it's like you're like, hey, I got up today. You know, like you've already set the bar for success to be like not low, but you've already like put it on the map.
Absolutely, right. And then you can say, well, what's next from here?
Yeah.
And build on it or not. Yeah. Right? That's your choice.
Totally. What I really like about success is like it's like to get from like 0 to 1. It's like really hard, just like taking that first step.
Right.
It's like super hard, but then it seems as though after you take that first step, like it just kind of like it becomes like a shorter. Yeah, totally.
Trust the momentum.
Yes, momentum.
Yeah.
I love that word, momentum.
I know, me too. And that's a big part of it. That I wrote that on my board as a reminder to me, trust the momentum, but also a reminder to my clients that you don't have to start anew every day.
Yeah.
You know, you're not putting your shoulder to this big boulder fresh. You know, it's hard to get it going, but once it starts rolling, then you just stay with it.
Yeah, and then you could come up to other boulders and be like, oh, I've done this kind of thing before.
Exactly. That's the evidence that your brain is going to require of you. Yeah.
I like it. So in your programs, I know you focus a lot on mental health and awareness. Do you also focus with your clients on physical?
I do.
Yeah?
I do. I find that people really, not everyone, some people want to ignore their physical bodies as they go through a mental or spiritual readjustment. And again, you can't compartmentalize that way.
Yeah.
You'll see manifestations of trouble coming up in your physical body if you ignore it.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, it's part of it. I end up talking with people about their exercise and their hydration and their diet and their sleep, and many areas that can impact their results in life.
It's like, as well as clearing out the cobwebs, like we said earlier, it's like you're also strengthening the foundation of the house
Exactly.
that you would be.
Exactly. Right.
That's
Very
excellent.
important.
If I never heard about your work, where would I go to find information about it?
Thank you for asking. My company name is Alchemie Academy, and it's alchemy spelled in the old way, Alchemie. Old time alchemists transformed regular materials into gold, and I feel like that's what I do with my clients. So it's alchemieacademy.com, and they can learn about me and see my other coaches who also use my blueprint to coach their clients, and learn a little bit about me there. I also have a book, Finding Your Lighthouse, on Amazon.
Finding Your Lighthouse.
A leadership guide to navigating change.
Yeah, that's Finding Your Lighthouse by
Jenean Merkel Perelstein.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you so much for having this wonderful conversation with me.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it very much. So.
Thank you. Me too. You're a joy to talk with.
Oh, thank you.
And this has really been delightful.
Yeah. It's fun, right?
Yeah,
Isn't this whole thing
exactly.
like a lot of
Super fun.
Yeah, I like it.
Truly. Yeah. What a gift.